Hi, welcome to the Autoversity Podcast, the #1 podcast for car sales and other sales professionals who want to become unstoppable in their sales and business career. This podcast is hosted by Dwayne Marino and Camden McInnes. Now sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the show. Professionals who want to become unstoppable in their sales and business career. This podcast is hosted by Dwayne Marino and Camden McInnes. Now sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the show.
How's it going?
Good, Camden. How about you?
Doing well. Just spent some time with the kids and came home to speak with you. I got some questions for you. Awesome. So are you ready to get going now, or?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Perfect. All right. So I have some interesting questions for you. The first one is, how can a person pitch without coming across as too aggressive or salesy? And I see this a lot. A lot of salespeople are constantly asking this question.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I think there's probably 3 components there. So first off, practice. If you practice whatever your approach is going to be with a client, then part of the practicing, obviously perfect practice makes perfect. So do it with focus and intention, but do it with your own personality. So if you have your own personality embedded into whatever your so-called pitch is going to be, it's going to come off a lot less salesy, and that tends to happen the more that you do it as yourself. Also, the other part where people really, I think, miss it, and it feels like a real sales pitch, is if you don't mirror the client, you're going to come off speaking or communicating in a way that's totally out of sync with how they do. So always, match the client's personality, pace them through the conversation as far as, they're, listening to you, and are they respecting you and liking you and all that stuff. And then you can lead the customer, once you've matched and paced, you can lead them. But the mirroring aspect is really, really important, because people like and respect people like themselves. And if you don't do that, it's always going to come off as a pitch. And the other thing is, I think any good sales presentation has to start with some questions, a couple of questions, where the client gets an opportunity to direct the conversation in whatever area they think is going to suit their wants and needs. And that makes a sales presentation from the salesperson a little bit more surgical and more customized and tailored to that client. So that would be sort of my top 2 or 3 tips. Mirror the customer, practice it till you really have your own personality in it, and always lead off with some questions.
Do you think possibly that because I hear a lot of salespeople ask that question a lot, do you think that it has a lot to do with maybe an insecurity or guilt when it comes to selling? Because a lot of salespeople have to fight that stigma from a lot of things that you see on TV and movies, that salespeople are bad people and they're slimy salespeople, that that stereotypical door-to-door sales guy that may be willing to sell his mother to close the deal type of thing.
I guess I've never experienced that. So in a lot of cases in life, you can only relate to things, according to your own experiences. But one of the reasons why I've never experienced that, I've never represented a product or tried to sell something to somebody that I didn't believe in. And I think if you don't believe that you're a good person, if you don't believe you're doing a good job, an ethical job, if you don't think you're going to stand behind that client, if you don't truly like the product or service that you're selling, then I think that guilt's going to kick in because you're incongruent. But if all those things are lined up, and hopefully everybody out there can find something that they can stand behind or get in front of, however you want to put it, then that shouldn't be the case. But I do hear that a lot. I see it with salespeople a lot. And if you're sort of resenting your own position or not really believing in what you're doing, it's going to be very tough for you to go and do a great job client after client. If you believe in all the stuff that I just listed, you'll actually see it as your moral obligation and moral duty to sell the customer and close them as effectively and as quickly as possible, or else they're liable to go buy something from somebody that doesn't care about their product or service as much, doesn't believe in it, and won't service them after the fact. So I hope it's not the case, Camden, but you're right, it could be.
Okay, so sell what you believe in.
For sure.
Awesome.
And use what you sell. Use what you sell. People out there, if you're selling cars, you need to drive what you're selling eventually, and as quickly as possible. I don't care if it's a $500 trade that comes in that's barely held together by duct tape and crazy glue. Customers ask you, so do you own this? Do you have this? Do you drive this? When you say you don't use what you sell, that's not a good thing.
And that actually goes back to one of the things you talk about is product knowledge, making sure you know
Absolutely.
really well what exactly it is you're selling to people. Okay.
Yep.
This next question actually comes from me because I actually came across a video on YouTube, and it is about hypnosis. And I started to see that there's a few videos out there for salespeople and entrepreneurs about hypnosis. And I wanted to ask you, what is your take on hypnosis for sales success? Do you have any experience with it, and do you think it works?
Anybody who's been in any of my training knows my thing is psychology. I take 1 or 2 courses a year every year. I've been doing that for a couple of decades. I've looked into everything that I think can help my clients and help myself. As far as hypnosis goes, most people are in what's called a hypnagogic state, which is most of the time we're on autopilot. So people should really understand and study that because, like everything else, there's a stigma behind that word. But all hypnosis is anytime your inside world is bigger really in your focus than your outside world. This happens all the time. So when you daydream, when you go inside in your process, when you look at a client, you start self doubting and dialoguing with yourself, or they're not buying anything, I'm not good enough, my price won't be low enough. That is self hypnosis. So all internal dialogue is self hypnosis, and you become self hypnotized when that internal dialogue is bigger than your outside world. So based on that definition, most people, most of the time, are hypnotized. And then we get hypnotized by the media, by our parents, and trapped by beliefs and fear and ego. It really is something most people should research. Now, in terms of classic hypnosis and what people see on stage, where people are becoming chickens and this kind of stuff, people don't ever do in those situations what they wouldn't do normally. They use hypnosis as a bit of an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But I do positive affirmations and self-talk all the time. When I'm with clients, when I start my day, I've got a routine when I'm going for a walk. I go through my life principles, and I'm really walking, eyes open, sometimes with my eyes closed, and I'm going inside and, imagining things being the way that I want them to be. That technically is hypnosis. So the way that I'm applying it in a sale is internally for myself to keep myself focused on my situation, and also in between sales and during the day to keep myself motivated. So all self-talk in sports, all of that, visualizing, anything you do that way, when you actually sit down and imagine something happening in your life, you can't do something, you can't create something until you first imagine it. I don't care if you're building a birdhouse or if you're gonna have your best sales month in your life, you first have to see it, you first have to imagine it. That is hypnosis, that's self-hypnosis. So it's a part of living. There's no way around it, actually.
That's so true, because you don't go to a construction site and just see them placing bricks and knocking things down without having a blueprint to follow that they got from
That's
an
right.
architect. So it's actually funny that you talked about your routine, because since December 1st, I've kind of was doing it before, but I was half-assing it. But now since December 1st, I've been make sure that I wake up, and no matter how busy my day is ahead of me, I make sure that I take my cold shower. I do my meditation with the visualization exercise, which takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I look in the mirror, and then I do the affirmations, and I say them out loud. And no matter how silly, like at first you kind of feel silly until you get into that routine. And I just make sure that I visualize everything that I want and read off my goals and affirmations. And I never actually looked at it as hypnosis. So it's very interesting that you brought that up, because I never actually saw it that way.
Yeah, and Cam, there's no need to feel silly, because I do a lot of that myself, and anybody that's listening, they're doing it too. Except what they're doing is potentially dragging their ass in the shower and telling themselves, "Oh my God, no, not another day! I can't believe I've got to go there." Sitting
Not
around for
another
20 minutes,
Monday and all that.
yeah, sitting around for the 15 or 20 minutes, having their coffee or cigarette or watching TV. Again, more negative self-talk, and I'm exhausted, and whatever else is going on. And then looking in the mirror and going, "Oh, here we go." I mean, everybody's got a routine, and they probably have the same routine as you, but they're on the other side of the coin. So congratulations for you trying to control your outcome, because we're all doing it anyways. Why not do it with purpose, and why not do it with intention and attention to move your life in a direction that you want? So I don't think that stuff is corny at all, because we're all truly doing it anyways.
So what about things like me recently? Anytime that I see a news thing pop up on my Facebook, I start to unsubscribe from that page. Do you do things like keep certain do you do things like delete certain apps off of your phone to prevent you from getting these ridiculous headlines and all that stuff to start your day? Do you avoid checking email? What do you do to prevent yourself from being from negatively diagnosing yourself with bad thoughts throughout the day?
First thing, when I get a new phone, I shut off all notifications, all feeds from Google, all news pushes. I go into settings, I shut them off. When they do an update, sometimes those things are automatically turned on again. I got to go back in and do that. There's a definite attempt there, quite frankly, I'm going to call it mind control, or influence our behavior or our thoughts. I don't want anybody doing that. I'll go to whatever I want to go to. I don't want things coming to me. So that's the first step. Then, yeah, I deleted all my social media apps off my phone. That way I'm not getting all the push notifications and all the pressure from them to, go to that app all the time, and, living for likes and all the things that everybody else gets stuck in. And through the day, probably definitely once a day, sometimes more, depending on what I'm doing, I'll go on my browser to Facebook and LinkedIn and, whatever other social media accounts I want to go to check out what's going on, or maybe post something. But you've got to take control of these smartphones for sure, because there's a whole other side to them that people, I think, sense and are aware of, that maybe they just don't take any actions on or do something about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got your newsletter where you were talking about how you had recently discovered that a lot of the engineers and things like that at Facebook were speaking out against some of the things that these companies were doing to literally draw people in and keep them there on their platform. And what it really is mind control, and it's insane. It's like a legal form of mind control that a lot of people aren't really aware of.
Oh, and how it's not legislated, I have no idea. We can have lots of conversations about stuff. It is insane. And yeah, they're doing TED Talks and all kinds of stuff coming forward, going, they didn't know as part of their little cell or unit in the research laboratory, what they were actually becoming part of this bigger picture. And a lot of these, social engineers and IT people that really, help develop it are regretting it. And you see it, everybody's on their phone, heads down when they're walking. Nobody's acknowledging anybody. It's absolutely hurting people's productivity. Couples and families on their phones when they're out for dinner, and we've all been guilty of it, myself included. And it's not right. It's just trying to take control back over that. With the new 5G, I mean, geez, we could talk about this forever, but with the new 5G, you're practically being microwaved while you're walking around. So if your phone's on an airplane mode or not with you a lot, either one of those would be good options. Knowledge is potential power. People need to do some research in their own, just kind of check this stuff out. It's not a conspiracy. It's a business plan on their part. I respect that. They want to be as successful as possible. Maybe there's other stuff behind it. I don't know, but it doesn't mean we have to be.
many sales a month do you or your sales team miss because of ineffective skills, stale habits, or bad attitudes? What if you had a secret way to make up just half of those lost sales per month every month? MarinoTV is your secret. It's the #1 online sales training program in the automotive industry, dedicated to building attitudes and skills that result in unstoppable results. Our virtual distance learning is designed specifically to help sales managers, sales professionals, F&I managers, and service advisors increase their production, as MarinoTV offers over 3,000 video sales training chapters for all levels of skill. Let MarinoTV show you step by step how to deal with today's educated and transaction-ready buyer in person, on the phone, over live video, or by email. If you're ready to have your sales soar and your stress drop, call 1-888-735-6275 or visit DwayneMarino.com, or buy our books, Unstoppable Attitude, Unstoppable Selling, and Unstoppable Money on Amazon now.